Many of you have reached out to me and you have asked me to cover some of the latest discrimination and harassment cases. In this video, I'm going to be going over some of the cases, some of the most recent cases that the EEOC has filed against the organization, have also settled those cases, as well as some Department of Justice cases and some private cases. I'm going to leave a link to those cases so you can do your formal research on these things, but it is important to note that when it comes to being a human resources professional, make no mistake, you have a huge responsibility. And that is to make sure that the company does not mess up and to make sure that the employees are safe on your watch. These are some very important scenarios that will take you throughout your career, and it'll give you something to think about because it is so easy to get caught up into the politics of wanting to keep your job and to fit in with everyone else. But when it comes to the organization losing money, losing key staff members because of harassment and discrimination, it comes with a very hefty cost. So you want to make sure that the organization stays in compliance when it comes to handling these cases. And it is important for you to take note and understand that HR is not above being sued. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. One of the big cases is the $18 million settlement with Activision Blizzard. In this case, on September the 27th of 2021, the EEOC filed a lawsuit alleging that Activision Blizzard violated the Civil Rights Act, which prohibits sexual harassment, pregnancy discrimination, and retaliation for complaining about discrimination. Here in another case, we see Plains and Copperhead Pipeline companies. This is a $1.75 million case where there were insults and derogatory remarks that were based on race and national origin. And we see that the employee was retaliated against and terminated for complaining about the harassment. Another case where Applebees has to pay $100,000 to settle an EEOC lawsuit over sexual orientation and race discrimination and retaliation for complaining. It says 2 members of the restaurant staff verbally harassed a Black employee by subjecting him to racial and homophobic epithets on a consistent basis. And we see that hotel owners to pay $370,000 to settle an EEOC sexual harassment lawsuit. And in this case, the owners permitted the male maintenance housekeeping manager to sexually harass 2 female housekeepers at the hotel. S&C Electric Company to pay $315,000. This employee was diagnosed with cancer and later sustained a broken hip, for which he took medical leave for. And this also falls into the ADA as well, where under the ADA, you're supposed to be offering accommodations to the employee, but that's not the case. And so now let's go over some of the lawsuits that have been filed, and they're currently pending some sort of resolution by the EEOC. Skywest Airlines is being sued for sex discrimination. In this case, explicit sexual conversations and conduct were a daily feature of the work environment at the overwhelmingly male parts and maintenance division of Skywest Dallas operation. And here's another case where the Hobby Lobby was sued for disability discrimination. And according to this lawsuit, the employee advised her manager that she needed to bring her fully trained service dog to work to assist her with symptoms caused by PTSD, anxiety, and depression. In this case, you see where they have a human resources representative who met with the employee to discuss her request, but concluded the dog would present a safety concern because a coworker or customer might be allergic or trip over the dog while the employee worked. So ultimately, Hobby Lobby terminated the employee when she could not work without her service dog. Here's a Walmart for disability discrimination and retaliation. This employee had severe pain due to neurological disability that affected her right hand and wrist. Her supervisor told her to apply for medical leave through the company's third-party administrator to avoid accruing points under the attendance policy. The employee applied for intermittent leave as a reasonable accommodation for her disability, but the accommodation was denied. The EEOC sues a staffing company for national origin discrimination. And in this case, a German-born naturalized U.S. citizen interviewed with a staffing agency in 2020 was offered the position, but she was required to present a U.S. birth certificate. And guys, this is a huge mistake because once a person becomes a nationalized citizen, they still do not have that birth certificate. So for this company to request a birth certificate that had a United States location on it, this was a very careless mistake. And this has cost the organization a lot of money. Essentially, this employee was terminated. So we're going to be on the lookout for what's next to come on this one. And so I'm going to go through two more. So we're going to definitely do Chipotle. The EEOC sues Chipotle Mexican Grill for sexual harassment. And in this case, they failed to properly investigate and correct harassment in the workplace. This was a lot of unwanted sexual advances, sexual comments, and sexually offensive conduct, including sexual contact. And this was being done by a restaurant manager. So if your organization is currently under investigation of the EEOC, or your organization has been sued by the EEOC, I would like for you to leave those comments below so we can all learn from each other. And the last one is International Paper for Disability Discrimination. The employee, a candidate, received an offer of employment in their Texas location. And as a part of the medical examination, and we've seen this a lot of times, medical exams are a part of the process. The applicant disclosed that he was diagnosed with ADHD, and the medication that he was prescribed for was Adderall. The applicant's drug test showed a positive result for amphetamines. The defendant revoked the applicant's conditional offer, informing him that it was because he did not pass the drug test. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, it is a slippery slope when it comes to prescribed medications. And when it comes to doing the drug test, it is important for human resource professionals or even recruiters to be educated on this and understand that sometimes the prescriptions come across as illegal drug use. So it is important to get that information from your candidate or from your employee directly to get a better understanding of what's going on instead of being so quick to judge. And in this case, we see that now the company is being sued by the EEOC. Now let's talk about the Justice Department settles with an IT recruiter to resolve immigration-related discrimination claims. The organization was trying to diversify, and they were trying to attract talent from different cultures, different regions. But in the process of doing this, they alienated citizens of the United States. And this is where they all got into trouble. KPMG is also named in this lawsuit. KPMG has to pay $306,000 because of this error. So these are all the cases that I have time for in this video. Again, I will leave a link in the description for each of these cases so you can really just read through them and understand how easy it is to get caught up into the wrong stuff and also not paying attention to what's going on that leads to these types of huge mistakes. And I know in many cases as an HR professional, you can come forward and even the organization will decide to go against you and do their own thing anyway. And that happens in many scenarios as well. And that's it for me in this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that you found this video very resourceful, and I will see you in the next video.